When Donald Trump signs an executive order declaring there are only two genders or that he's renaming the Gulf of Mexico, when Donald Trump decides he is going to rail against immigrants, when Donald Trump decides he is going to attack DEI after a tragedy instead of comforting families and trying to get to the bottom of making sure it never happens again, a lot of people ask themselves, what's the point? What is the point of all of this? Well, there are two. The first is to distract, as Donald Trump always wants to do, from his clear and abject failures, which has certainly been the case in the beginning of his presidency and will throughout the entirety of it. But the second point is cruelty. The cruelty is always the point with MAGA. They like to be cruel. They like to be vile and vengeful. It is what they are all about. They are an obstructionist party that hates. That is the MAGA movement. And never was that more clearly encapsulated than a MAGA host really celebrating the unconstitutional, illegal, really immoral mass deportations that have already begun during Donald Trump's presidency. And in this clip, his racist tirade was so gross, it should ruin his career. And we are going to get into that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way. And it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into this disgusting MAGA host, I first want to see someone calling out his lies, and Jasmine Crockett right here.
Mr. Beer, I want to play a little game with you. It's called Rhetoric versus Reality. And so I want to ask you, my first question, is this rhetoric or reality? Immigrants commit more crimes than U.S. citizens.
On a per capita basis?
Rhetoric or reality?
Oh, it is rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record this article, which states that undocumented immigrant offending rate lower than U.S.-born citizen rate, and this is from nij.ojp.gov.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. The next one, immigrants are just living off the federal government and contribute nothing.
That would be rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I would ask unanimous consent to enter study that says undocumented immigrants pay almost $100 billion in taxes. This is from the Alabama Reflector.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. My final rhetoric or reality question is immigrants only enter at the southern border.
Rhetoric.
Okay, right, because they enter all kinds of ways. I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there. In fact, I have a few more questions because I still got a little bit of time, which I usually run out of time. We have talked again about crime, and there's been this overemphasis on it. And honestly, I can tell you that I don't want anyone to be killed, whether it's here or anywhere else. There is nothing about me as the child of a preacher that makes me say that I want people to die, okay? So I feel as if my colleagues from across the aisle have decided that they are going to make immigrants the boogeyman. It's insanity to me, but they also are showing compassion for victims, which they should, but they have no compassion for people that are contributing to making us great in this country. So, interestingly enough, I'm curious to know, Mr. Beer, if you know if immigrants contributed to these particular crimes. There was a mass shooting in Buffalo, New York that killed a number of African Americans as they were trying to shop for groceries. Was the defendant an immigrant in that case? Do you know?
No, he was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Charleston, South Carolina, there were black churchgoers trying to praise the Lord. They were killed. Was that an immigrant that perpetrated that or not?
No, that was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Now, coming home to Texas, there was an El Paso shooting. Do you know if that was an immigrant or not?
No, they were targeting immigrants in that case.
In fact, each of these cases, it was white supremacists. And so the last unanimous consent that I'd asked for is this article that states that white supremacists behind over 80% of extremism-related U.S. murders in 2022.
Without objection.
Thank you so much.
I absolutely love this from Jasmine Crockett. Reality versus the narrative. I don't want to hear the nonsense. I want to know what the facts are. MAGA always claims facts above feelings until the facts actually get in the way of their feelings, which they often do. A great example of that is January 6th. I think MAGA had a lot of feelings that day. But someone who was clearly expressive of, like I said, their hateful feelings was a Newsmax host who decided to joke about these mass deportations, about family separations, about the detainment of U.S. citizens, which is consistently already happening. Severe racial profiling under Donald Trump's plan. It was just gross. It went super viral for the backlash it's received. We're going to check it out right here.
What are you going to do? Will you come take it out of my ham? I'm going to eat half this plate during the break. Maybe I'll call the ICE hotline. I don't know if I'll have enough time. But sure, all kidding aside, it was actually really good, taco. These people broke the law. They broke the law to get here.
They're joking about it. They're joking about it. If you ever had some shred of doubt, or if you actually believe, well, maybe MAGA does really, maybe they do care about the border. Maybe they do care about border security. One, it should have gone out the window a long time ago. Come on, the bipartisan border deal, tanking that, they don't care. It's a joke for them. It's something to lean on. It's their culture war. It's their issue. They need it to maintain relevance. It's what it's all about. It's the same thing with aid to California. They don't have an actual solution for why. They don't have an actual solution that they've decided, oh, well, we got to condition aid until you implement X policy. Y preemptive steps. W water conservation. There's none of that. It's voter ID. They just want to make a gambit of it. It's the same thing with the border. Have you ever heard Donald Trump state any substantive response to the border? It's always like strength and big wall. Big wall. We're going to put up the big wall. Has he ever just like outlined a plan? Kamala Harris spent her campaign when talking about the border, talking about new fentanyl detection technology that she wanted to invest in more. It's like Donald Trump has never uttered a thought like that. He can't even come up with one or keep it in his brain. It is a joke to these people. It is their joke. That is what this is. And this guy, this Newsmax host, he shouldn't have a career. He's a hack. Speaking of hacks, we've seen quite a few of those at some Senate confirmation hearings. I think you know who I'm talking about. And Kash Patel, who was just ripped to shreds by Adam Schiff, and we got to check that out.
Senator Schiff.
Mr. Patel, early in this hearing, Senator Durbin asked you about the January 6th choir of inmates whose song you promoted, and here's what you said. I did not have anything to do with the recording. I did not have anything to do with the recording. Do you stand by that testimony, Mr. Patel?
Senator, what I said was I didn't do the recording.
You said you didn't have anything to do with the recording, which is interesting because here's what you told Steve Bannon on his podcast. So what we thought would be cool is if we captured that audio and then, of course, had the greatest president, President Donald J. Trump, recite the Pledge of Allegiance, then we went to a studio and recorded it, mastered it, digitized it, and put it out as a song now releasing exclusively on the War Room. We. If you had nothing to do with it, Mr. Patel, why did you tell Steve Bannon and all his listeners that you did?
That's why it says we, as you highlighted.
Yeah, and you're part of the we, right? When you say we, that includes you, doesn't it, Mr. Patel?
Not in every instance.
Well, that's new. So when you said we, you didn't really mean you. Is that your testimony?
Not unless you have a new definition for the word we.
Oh, okay. I always thought we included the person who pronounced the word, but maybe not. Well, you also said this, Mr. Patel. We were able to capture the recording thanks to their courageous singing, and we were able to take it to a studio. So let me ask you, Mr. Patel, after saying we took it to a studio, did you take it to a studio?
Me personally, no.
After you said that we digitized and recorded it and all that, did you take it to a studio and digitize and record it?
Me personally, no.
Okay, so you were lying to Steve Bannon and his audience. Is that what you're saying?
No, I was using the proverbial we appropriately, as you've identified.
The royal we. Oh, I see. And so you certainly promoted the hell out of it, though, didn't you?
I don't know what that means, but I promoted the heck out of raising money for families in need.
With promotions on social media and saying you were going to get this to #1 on the billboards, right, Mr. Patel?
I think it did.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Isn't that great? People who violently attack police have a #1 song thanks to you, Mr. Patel. That's something to be really proud of. Now,
No.
you've claimed, Mr. Patel, you didn't know about any of these people in the choir. Is that right?
I did not know about the violent offenders, and I did not participate in any of the violence in and
tell
around
me-
January 6th.
Tell me, Mr. Patel, what due diligence did you do to find out who was in the choir before you promoted their beautiful music? These people who assaulted law enforcement. What due diligence did you do?
Senator, I didn't record it myself.
So you did no due diligence before you promoted this song by these violent felons. Is that what you're telling us?
Senator, I did not record that myself.
So you're being considered for director of the FBI. And here you did no diligence to find out whether people you were associating with now the President of the United States in song.
That is another man who should not have a job. I am really getting pretty worried that Republican senators have just decided, who cares? Who cares? Because that seems to be their MO on everything. And if it is, we'll be calling them out. It's going to be a long 4 years. I'm going to have a heart attack by the end of this. I'm just about fed up. Oh, man, I apologize. Today's videos have just been tough for me. I apologized on the first one. It's rough, y'all. I hope I can just be open and honest. This is tough. This has been tough to do, to talk about, to think about. It's been tough. These are the worst people in the world, ill-equipped to do anything but cause chaos and push hate, and it makes me so sad. But we got to call it out, and we're going to on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video, and you can drop a blue heart in the comments. I certainly need one today. And until next time, I'll see you soon.